during World War II, of course, I accelerated in college and graduated in December of 1944, and I was recruited by mail for the Army Signal Corps, which, after much consideration and deliberation, I accepted and moved to Arlington, Virginia in March of 1945. Worked at which is Arlington Hall Army Signal Station. The Signal Corps had taken over a girls' school in Virginia, and of course I was not. We were in a security. We were not cleared to go to work, and for about 6 weeks we were in classes, and while our background was being checked, and we were told that we would never tell. We were made to take an oath that we would never tell our grandchildren what we did during the war. And I worked at the Army Signal Station for several years, all different shifts. Sometimes, daytime sometimes, but usually either the night shift or from like 4:30 to midnight, or 6:30 to during the daytime shift, 4:30. And very often, if I got out at midnight, on the midnight shift, I stayed there and worked because I was afraid to go out in the dark and walk home. I lived about a mile. I had to walk up to. I was living I had a room in a home, and I was a little nervous about walking at that time of the night. And then eventually I moved in with two other friends into a duplex, which was on there was better bus service, transportation service, and so on. But we worked on an Army post, but we were civilians. But it was interesting to live in the Washington area. And because we worked on weekends and so on, I often had weekdays off, in which case I'd go to congressional hearings that were going on. There were always some interesting cases going on, and that was a favorite way to spend a day off. And the salary as an SP was the rank you start with. The annual salary was $16.20 a year. That was an annual salary. So I didn't live very high on the hog, obviously. And I met a very good friend who is still a friend. We met at 7 o'clock Mass at the church across the street from Arlington Hall, and we walked just across the street and had breakfast together, because when I went to Washington, I was rooming in somebody's home. I just had one room, so I had no cooking facilities. I had at least 2 meals at the fort. And I think I had a raise that went from an SP to what they called a P1, that was professional. But I don't remember what that salary was. But we lived on $16.20, and that was not unusual in 1940. By that time it was 1945.